What's up, guys? Off to a late start this evening. It's going to get a little hot in here. I have an AC going, but I just had to turn it off because, well, it's loud. And in being loud, why? I don't know that you'd be able to hear me very well, so I'm just going to have to sweat it out. Hopefully, the waterworks don't get to be too much, and I have my trusty towel by my side, so we'll see how that goes. Anywho, what's good with y'all tonight? It's your man Donald King. I'm here to do my thing. What a busy week this has been. I'm tired. And today was a day of respite. I took the day off and kind of chilled out a little bit. And I've actually got to get bacon here in a little. But yeah, it's been a lot going on. As is the case every week, I'm always wondering what I'm going to talk about. I had a couple of ideas earlier on, and what happens more often than not is I forgot what I was going to talk about. But something came to me that I wanted to speak on last week. Now, you see, you guys see me talking about competition quite often, and the gateway through which the gateway through which corruption enters the soul is through aggression, is through narcissism, competition, and aggression. And I'm adding greed on there too, even though greed is an amalgamation of competition, narcissism, and aggression. But we're going to add greed on there just as a point of differentiation. So the reason why it's important to understand this is because I don't think most people actually understand competition at a fundamental level. And that's the reason why I want to get into this tonight. I talk to buddies every now and again, and they're like, I don't see any problem with competition. And I understand why they don't. You see, especially since a lot of my friends, close friends, are black. We come up in environments where the culture itself normalizes competition to such a degree that it's second nature. We don't realize that competition is aggression. It is aggression, yet you can sort of just look at the culture and products of the culture and measure them objectively and see that it is a culture rife in aggression, right? When people want to feel aggressive, what do they put on? They put on hip hop. When people are feeling themselves, and all about sort of just riding the wave of them, what do they put on? They play hip hop. Why is it important to understand that? It's because hip hop is based in competition. It's based in narcissism. It's based in aggression. And not the art form. The art form itself is magnifique. It's beautiful. Using words as percussion, rhyming, using layers and metaphors and things of that nature. Beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But what the industry has sort of morphed it into is this bastion of competition and aggression. You ever, there are rap battles. You can go to a rap battle. But and every now and again you can catch a battle of the bands. You can catch a battle of the bands, but rap competitions have become staples in mainstream culture. What do you do in a rap competition? You try to prove that you can talk better than the other guy. You try to use wittier metaphors, but more than likely you're going to be talking about how you're going to pull the gat, or the gully, or the chopper. You talk about violence. You talk about guns. You talk about winning. You talk about being the best. Everything about this culture was engineered. It was meant to corrupt you. It was meant to poison your soul. Make it so that you could not collectivize or think for yourself. Make it so that you couldn't think above the level of the culture and that everything was about chasing trends and consuming the most and self-aggrandizing and self-idealizing. I want you to take the sort of competition element though and dial in on what it really is, It's aggression. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that competition is aggression. I don't want anybody to believe me for any reason anyway, but when you're competing against someone, you're necessarily being aggressive. Now, you may not understand that, so I'm going to put it in a bit of a different framing, right? Imagine you're driving down the road. Someone is coming up behind you very fast, and all of a sudden, they cut to the side of you. What do? Do you A, let them go around, or B, speed up so that they don't win? 9 times out of 10, you're going to speed up so that they don't win. You know why? Because you perceive them competing against you as an act of aggression. You perceive people trying to compete against you as an act of aggression. And how do you respond? You respond aggressively. 100% of the people who come to my page with a contrarian stance, 100%, there's no statistic to apply to it really. So every single person who comes to my page trying to speak over me or validate what I'm saying or introduce counter thoughts or be contrarian in any way, shape, or form, they're there to compete. Which is why every single person who comes to me with that energy, I instantly recognize that they view me as a rival. That's what competition is. It's when you look at someone and you view them as a rival. If you view them as a rival, then there's something to defeat. If there's something to defeat, that means you view them through a lens of hostility. Again, what is competition? Competition is an attempt to dominate another or others in some given realm of consideration and or in pursuit of some idealization of authority. The Olympics is happening right now. America's finest are repping the country to the hilt, right? These people have battered and abused their bodies to the point that they are fit to pit their abilities and their stamina and endurance and grit against the people of the world to see who comes out on top, to see who, at least by way of athletic performance and capability, is dominant. When these competitors are out on the floor or out on the field, regardless of whether or not they shake hands at the end, regardless of whether or not they applaud each other for their efforts, they're there to be aggressive. They're there to dominate. They're there to win. Competition is aggression. Right? Now you see, I have a love-hate relationship with competition. On one hand, it's really good for helping people learn how to refine their potential if they use competition as a sort of gauge or marker to see where they're at in terms of their own potential. Now, like for me, I've spent hours. I've logged thousands of hours going back and forth with competitors online, I'm never the one starting the competition. I'm never the one starting the contest. But I've gone back and forth with people trying to compete against me, trying to subdue me, trying to invalidate me for years. Over a decade. Over a decade. I let them come to me with their animus and their rage, and it was crucial to allow that to happen. You see, in the beginning, when I saw everything through the avatar perspective, I kind of thought that I was just going to show up and share principles. I thought that that would be my life. I'm just going to show up, say what needs to be said. People are going to realize the value in what's being shared through this perspective I claim or purport to perform through. And they're going to be like, oh shit, wow. This guy has got it, man. Hey, everybody, sit down, gather around, take a knee. Let's figure this out. Let's see what this is about. That was my initial thought. I never, ever expected people to hate me for saying things that didn't validate their inner story and or conform to, honor their inner senses of justice, their feelings or beliefs. And the reason I mention that is because on the front end, when people showed up trying to compete against me and trying to defeat me in order to preserve their own identities out of vanity, I used to take personal offense to it. I used to get in my feelings. I used to get enraged because somebody who I only had good intentions towards showed up trying to aggress against me. I'll be honest in saying it hurt my feelings. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to help you. I got the cheat sheet to reality here. Let me share with y'all what I see. And the majority of what I did and what I do is just met with unsubstantiated rage. People angry at the fact that the talents I possess put me in a realm of ability that they themselves do not experience, even though I'm generous with what's been imbued to me. I had to learn how to toughen up. And through the process of toughening up, or better yet, instead of saying through the process of toughening up, allowing people to compete against me and allowing myself to put the avatar perspective to the test. Enter the pressure cooker, as it were. One, it helped me learn how to articulate what I see through the avatar perspective faster and cleaner. But more importantly, it helped me learn how to develop a thicker skin. I wasn't so easily damaged by people wanting to injure me with their contempt for simply outperforming them and or not recognizing and validating their inner story. So, in that sense, I was kind of like Goku. I went looking for the strongest people I could find. Hey, prove I'm full of shit. And the real reason I kind of did that, or one of the reasons I kind of did that, is because, again, this isn't something I signed up for. I kind of had other things that I wanted to do with my life. I had other things I wanted to do with my life, and as such, the second somebody could prove that I was full of shit is the second that I can get back, or could get back, to doing the things that I wanted to do, because it wouldn't be my fault if somebody proved me wrong. It'd be the thing that's performing through me inability to keep pace with scrutiny and critical examination. But alas, that was not the case. I got better every day. The stronger the competition, the more I leveled up. So I have a love-hate relationship with competition because I'm grateful to it for helping me learn how to refine what it is that I do. But I don't bring competition to people, period, because I understand that competition is in itself aggression. Competition is aggression. If you show up trying to compete against somebody, you necessarily show up trying to dominate them. If you show up trying to dominate somebody, it's because you don't like them and you want attention and presence over and ahead of them to the tune of having the entitlement to consume from the social trough ahead of them. That's the point of competition. If I win competition, I get pussy first. If I win the competition, people have to listen to me first. People have to reward me first. I get the comforts and the convenience and the degrees of freedom and the satisfaction. Me, 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 me. Which is why narcissism, competition, and aggression are triune. They are interlinked necessarily. Now, many people come to me with their desire to defeat me. They come to me with their aggression, their animus, their desire to transfer their rage and frustration into me in the form of a loss. If I can just defeat Donald King, I'll prove once and for all that I'm superior to him. That's the goal. If I can just defeat him, or in some way invalidate or subdue or subvert him, then I've won. Which is why all these little cowards come to my post doing the worst shit, like just the most little cowardly shit, trying to get a leg up on old Donnie King. He doesn't control me. I'll show him I do whatever I want. There's a Judas figure out there. He's been in the picture for many years, racking up losses, collecting debts to reality out of sheer pride, out of vanity, because they're stoked their ego every fucking chance they get. Always taking pictures of themselves. Always doing things to self-worship and self-idealize. You know, that's what pride is. Pride is self-worship. And when you're a prideful person and you come across the thing, and you feel you should be superior to the vessel the thing is performing through, why, you end up racking up debts you have no idea, consequences you have no idea coming to you, because you let your pride, and via pride, the corruption within you, steer the ship. I might have to remove that individual before too long. But, I mean, I gave fair warning, and now I'm just letting them fuck themselves up. Out of pride. Yeah. The desire to compete. If you nurture a competitive spirit within you, then you necessarily nurture a narcissistic, a greedy, and an aggressive spirit within you. Again, what y'all need to understand about corruption, especially as it manifests within humans, is that it's an attitude. It's an attitude. If you sit here and you think that you're going to force your will on others, and that your pride gives you license and entitlement to do whatever the fuck you want and stomp in any yard you feel like it, you are necessarily given to corruption, and you deserve what's coming to you. Brother, absurd the word. That was bad. What's that? I was like, see, I do not like it. The heat. It's hot and humid. Brother Absurd comes in. What's up? Donald, my brother. This really makes me wonder how much information people are blocking out tonight. Even imagine they have a chance to win in what's not even a game. You know what? And that's the point. Most of the people who are really given to competition, they avoid me like the plague. I mean, I'm giving away the playbook to reality. And, you know, most of them, especially those who have finally realized that this isn't a fucking game, they're like, oh, I'm just going to pretend like he's not there. Only digging themselves into a deeper hole. It's bad. It's bad. Reality does not stand for human vanity. And that's what competition is based in. It's inextricably bound to narcissism, and narcissism and vanity are synonymous. I'm better than you. I'm going to prove it. Yeah. I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. And the whole time, not even realizing they're not up against a man, they're up against a being performing through a man that has clocked their every move. I wonder how many people out there still think this is a fucking game that they can win. So I'm with you on that. Because every day I show up, every week I show up. The reason I do these podcasts, again, is to show everybody my frame of mind. Why is it important to show people my frame of mind? Because if you watch me do this in real time, and you don't get a chance, you're not glamored by how eloquently I might be able to write a piece. When you watch me do this in real time, and you see me demonstrate a healthy mind state, then maybe they might start listening. Maybe you might be like, hey, I might want to dial in and pay attention here. I might want to see what's going on. But when you have it in your mind that you're going to compete and that nothing is going to stop you from winning, you hit a state of cognitive dissonance, and you hit a state of bias and all these other things. Speaking of which, I want to get into that real quick. All right. So let's talk about cognitive dissonance, cognitive bias, and every other sort of cognitive defect, right? You know what they are? Basically, they're when your pride won't let you recognize and sync up with reality. Cognitive dissonance is when your pride makes your pride basically makes you allergic to reality and or allergic to things that don't verify and reflect your inner story back to you. Any person who experiences cognitive dissonance, their pride won't let them consider something that says what they believe and what they feel is wrong. And they start having a mentally allergic reaction. Oh, no. And they get what? Aggressive. And they start doing what? Trying to compete to be right, even though there's nothing to compete against. No one is allowed to compete against reality. You're not even supposed to be trying to compete among yourselves, not for ideal-based reasons. But you do. But you bring that toxicity to reality or agents performing therein. Oh, and you got a completely different ballgame in your hands. There are certain things that don't stand for your shit. Again, corruption in humans is an attitude. I'm supposed to be superior. I'm the best. I deserve the most. Me. I can do whatever I want and take whatever I want because I'm the best. Reality is like, yeah, I got to make sure you don't exist at all. Nothing with that horrific outlook on life should be allowed to destroy systems because it's lost within itself. Again, the socialization process trains us to be raging narcissists. Socialization process. When you're in religion, you're taught that your religion is the best, and that in order to save other people, you have to make other people like you. Right? Everybody who for Christians, everybody who isn't Christians are heathens. Those who don't recognize or yield to the authority of your belief system, they're immoral. They're not saved. Same thing with Islam, same thing with Judaism. Except Judaism doesn't try to convert people. Everyone who isn't like you is beneath you, right? You learned that through the socialization process. As such, you are taught that you are supposed to benefit ahead of them. Because you're supposed to benefit ahead of them, and they are perceivably inferior to you, that means you're licensed to take whatever you want from them or treat them however you want. Think about the Crusades. These people put these crosses on their chests, these little symbols, and they go out and what do? The worst fucking things imaginable. They rape, then murder, and pillage, and steal, and conquer lands. Just disgusting life forms who think they're good because of the flags they hide behind and the clothes they wear. Right? Disgusting life forms. But they're good, so they're allowed to do that. They call themselves the good guys, so they're allowed to do that, right? Agreements humans make with themselves that have no basis in reality. And now, hear their descendants describe it. Oh, don't be mad because we won. Corruption was using them as agents of corruption in the same way that it uses every disease to invade, destroy, pillage systems within bodies, within organisms. This is what agents of corruption do. Get a cold. If you could live at the level of the Virion, absolutely guarantee you would see little ignorant ass Virion going on crusades, wearing special clothes, calling themselves great and superior to the cellular building blocks they're destroying for their amusement, satisfaction, and ultimately comfort and convenience. Through the action of what? Competition. Every crusade. We're competing for territory. They led with aggression. It's a fight for survival. They led with aggression. You're not even supposed to do that to your own species. Even though you're a corrupt species, you're certainly not qualified. You're not entitled. You're not allowed to do it to functions of reality itself. Period. It's not up for debate. It's non-negotiable. Because you don't want reality competing back against you. Something you need to understand about Earth is that it is a life form. That life form, its body has limitations. So even if the disease of society is able to destroy nature and kill the body of this planet towards creating crafts to get off this and replicate this in different star systems or whatever, it's all just a matter of time. You're on a clock. It's a matter of time before the system of reality steps in, and everything you've done to cause imbalance gets charged back to you the very second a freeze happens between these two universes, and you get chopped away and forced to make amends for all you've done and contributed to. And you will make amends. It is not up for debate. You will pay back every single thing, every single imbalance you caused and contributed to, without fail. Not an ounce of leniency, because no one made you stick with corruption, especially after it was made clear to you what you are and how you move. Now, if corruption is still in you, then you're like, oh shit, well, I'm going to compete against him. I'm going to defy him. I'm going to show him he doesn't scare me. I'm going to show him. Whole time, not even realize you're dealing with an entity performing through a man, not a man. Reality doesn't stand for your shit. It doesn't care for your vanity. Your ideas have no power here. Your consensus has no power here. None of this is up for debate. I welcome you to try. I've been welcoming you to try to prove that I'm wrong for over a decade, and you never even scratched the surface. And I'm still possibly only at 40% of the information. I've only possibly put out 40% of the information I'm supposed to during my lifetime. How are you going to win against something that's stronger than you and it hasn't even fucking finished powering up yet? How? You can't kill it. You can't smite it. It can smite you. And it will. But not before extracting every single ounce of potential from you in the most violent way imaginable. You are not in charge. You never were in charge. But now your competitive spirit is walking you, it's marching you into dangerous, dangerous waters. Because there are a lot of things that just don't stand for your shit. You nurture a shitty attitude within yourself. You practice being a dick. You practice being aggressive. You practice idealizing competition and consuming competition to a degree that you can't tell the difference between normalcy and aggression. You practice your way into being corrupt. Half these spiritual people out here, these spiritual gurus, are some of the most narcissistic, competitive assholes I've met. They sit here and worship themselves day in and day out. When they see somebody actually doing what they pretend to be, they see someone who is actually a real representation of what they pretend to be and doing what they pretend to do, well, the first thing they want to do is compete. They bring their pride to things that hit in ways that don't heal. You practice your way into corruption. How you practice your way into corruption? You practice your way into corruption through, say it with me, narcissism, competition, and aggression. We'll add that fourth on there, greed, which is an amalgamation of all three. But yeah, competition to get you fucked up. You having that terrible, shitty attitude you've been carrying around in you all these years and building onto after you internalize all that negativity in the world instead of learning how to process your emotions and letting go of it, you internalize it and hope to transfer it into somebody else. Yeah, you store up all that negative energy. And you're like, yo, I'm going to make somebody feel this pain. You're corrupt. The reality is like, oh, you didn't want to get rid of the aggression in you? You didn't want to check that narcissistic spirit? You didn't want to check that competitive spirit? Well, I'm going to check it for you. And I'm going to do it in the worst way imaginable. And there is no negotiating. I gave you a chance to deal with it yourself. You chose to double down on it. And now you have to face what's coming to you. I gave you an out. You chose not to take the out and to compete against me. Therefore, you're about to catch everything that comes along with that in the way of consequence. You chose it. It's hot in here. Nothing gives you the right the privilege, the entitlement to try to compete against reality. Again, the socialization process grooms you to be a raging narcissist. In school, you compete for the best grades. You compete on sports teams. You compete to be the best in everything you do. You want to be the captain. You want to be the star. You compete for the lead in the school play. Compete, compete, compete. And it turns you into an agent of corruption. Anytime you watch a disease in a body, you see aggressor cells competing against the body itself. The body they're only co-opting and that they ultimately depend on for their own survival. They can't live without the body. They aggress against the body, trying to overtake it, and like all diseases, are ignorant to the body's greater systems and interdependence between the systems, and as such, they end up destroying the body and themselves along with the body, because this is how fucking parasitism works at a mechanical level. Pride makes you show up trying to compete. Pride makes you show up trying to dominate others. Pride makes you show up being ignorant to reality and of the impression that you can force your will onto others performing in the world around you. When you show up to me with your pride, though, when you show up trying to compete against me, you're not competing against a man. You're competing against the thing using a man to speak, and that thing does not fucking tolerate your ignorance. It doesn't tolerate your vanity. All your little attempts to be subversive are like, oh my God, every time you do something to try to be disrespectful to me or subversive to me, it's like literally trying to shoot at God by proxy of the entity performing through me. Could you imagine God was a man that couldn't die, and your dumbass got an attitude with God for saying you can't do whatever you want to do, and that you're not the star of everything in reality, and that you're not allowed to take from others or treat others however you please, and you got an attitude and start shooting at God. How do you think that ends? Even if God can't die, you brought your attitude to God. You brought your aggression and your fucking narcissism to God. Your disapproval and your contempt, your funky little attitude. How does that end for you? Does God say, oh, well, you know what? They get a pass because, I can't die. So, I mean, like, it's whatever. Nah. The fact that you tried to take a shot at it, even if you tried to wing it, even if you just tried to intimidate it, you took an aggressive stance and a hostile action against something you can't hope to defeat. And it'll respond to you in the exact same way that it responds to the thing that motivated you to fire to begin with. Corruption. You only bring that toxicity to, if God were a man, again, you'd only bring that toxicity to God because corruption was working through you, because you opened the gate and let it in. The most competitive people on the planet, again, I was speaking about this earlier, the most competitive group on the planet is African Americans. By design, it was cooked up in a boardroom. Somebody wanted to corrupt your minds and your souls as a people, so what they did was make sure that the culture they engineered for you was rife with competition. Few decades after slavery, your people, while you accomplished Black Wall Street, a couple of them, you were mentally and emotionally disciplined. You turned shit around in a very short period of time. And what was the blowback? You got exterminated. All the things that you did, all the things that you built up were torn down. And cultures were engineered and created through the social industry to keep you from collectivizing, to put you in a perpetual state of competition. I watched that Special K video today. What's your man got to do with me? I got a man. I'm not trying to hear that, see? You can't even have romance because it's a competition. I always thought that was a really gay thing. The idea of men wanting to steal women from other men. What dude wants to be with a woman that smells like another man? Unless he likes men. Which I'm not knocking. But come on. You can't even have, a part-time lover. There's always been this narrative in black music where man and woman can't even build together because they see each other as competitors. They see each other as competition. After, gotta, what was that? Thoughts, bitches, hoes. They make sure that there's a competition between men and women so you can't collectivize in that way. Look at your art forms, rap. It's based in competition. Make sure you can't collectivize in that way. Make sure that you always see your neighbor and your brother as competition. Somebody who you have to dominate, someone you have to be better than. Even people who are affluent, why? What do? They have to show each other up with who has the most lavish things. Show who has the best lifestyle. You can't collectivize. You can't collectivize because your entire culture was corrupted from the ground up, and it wasn't even something that y'all came up with. You enhanced it. It was cooked up in a fucking boardroom by corrupt agents who just are in the most shit with reality. Just, oh my God. All the people who are at the top of society who helped engineer these circumstances, generations deep, you are fucked. Like, again, you really need to get with me ASAP. We need to be working to get your debt to reality down, your debt score down, because you are fucked. Like, bad. And the worst part about it is, and why I empathize with you, is because, just like black culture, you were inducted into a culture that was, or cultures, that were hyper competitive, which made you hyper aggressive, hyper narcissistic, and very, very, very corrupt. From the time you were babies, you were inducted into a socialization process that turned you into agents of corruption. It's fucked up. Again, this is nobody's fault. We were born into it, but you don't just make impacts on reality and expect to walk away scot-free. It doesn't matter who told you what you're allowed to do. Human agreements have no bearing on reality. Reality gives you intuition, which is why, if you're among the people who I'm speaking about, you're listening to me right now. Sure, there's some sort of fear about being exposed, I'm sure. Now that dictates the majority of why you choose to monitor me in the first place, but beyond that, there is a point of you that won't turn away. Intuition. You have a faculty of intuition. You've learned to sort of block it out and sort of stick to systems of agreements you all come up with, but when reality speaks to you via intuitive connection, it's like it says to you in no uncertain terms, guys, this is wrong. In your heart of hearts, you know for a fact that part of you wants to say, guys, what we're doing is wrong. We need to stop. If you stick with the groups and then stick with corruption, then you're going to be like, no, we deserve to win. Fight, go team, go. And you're going to play it out. You're going to ride it out. But on an intuitive level, in your most honest state, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know everything I'm saying is correct. And you know that this is going to end very badly for you. Which goes into the point of cowardice versus bravery. Cowards show up trying to compete. What is a coward? Coward is a person who's deathly afraid of reality. A passive coward is one who freezes in the face of uncertainty and or in the face of things they can't control. Aggressive coward is one who tries to attack things that don't validate their sense of entitlement and deserving and or validate their inner story, feelings, and beliefs. In either case, a coward is a person who's scared of reality and as such retreats from reality or attempts to attack reality because they're too chicken shit to face it. It's why bravery and honesty are mutually inclusive things. And people who choose to look to the reassurance of other people in groups, why, they're fucking cowardly. Listening to your intuition, that takes bravery. It does. When I was being guided down this path, I had my coward moment. I had my coward moments. Even when I wanted to find somebody to prove that I was full of shit. That was me being cowardly. Because I was afraid of what this role, what this task entailed. I wasn't ready for it. A lot of days I still feel like I'm not, but fuck it, I'm here now, might as well. I'm here now, might as well. When you learn to face reality, chin up, eyes open, chest forward. Sometimes you're going to get chest checked. Sometimes you're going to get chin checked. You turn and you look like, God, you gave me eyes to see. You gave me heart to push forward through uncertainty. I'm not going to be like the slaves in Jesus' parable about talents. I'm going to use the gifts you gave me, even if there's possibly a bad cost on the back end of them. And when you step into reality that way, reality's like, so you're a G, huh? Let me bless your talent. Let me bless your courage. Let me bless your honesty. Let me bless your bravery. And you level up. You get stronger. People ask me how I'm able to do the things I'm able to do. You have no idea how many people say, who do you study? Where did you learn these things? What? You're the most intelligent person I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm like, yeah. Well, I can't take credit for being intelligent because, again, I'm hosting an entity that lets me see everything in perfect pitch. Even if I didn't, even if this was all the figment of my imagination and I imagine my way to this space that I'm in and perform through, there's no scenario in which I wouldn't be here as a result of honesty and bravery. None. I allow people to compete against me, but there's no need to compete against anyone. Why? Because I don't need to be superior to anybody. I don't need to claim authority over anybody. All I need to do is align myself with truth. And then so, everything that is real, everything that is salient, everything that is measurable and demonstrable is right there. You never see me come to people trying to compete because there's no reason for me to. Reality doesn't compete against anybody or anything. It's not even in competition against corruption. It's isolating corruption and going in for the kill. Because corruption, even at its best, could still never scale to the level of reality or hit reality back in ways it can't heal from, and that corruption will not pay for exponentially. Every damage you cause trying to edify, verify, validate the story of you, every imbalance you cause gets charged back to you, and then all the effort it takes for reality to restore balance for what you've caused imbalance to also gets taken out of your principal expression. It gets taken out of your spirit. So you don't just pay for what you did, you pay for everything it takes to rectify what you did too. You and your stupid little contests against each other. Contests to acquire the most resources for what? I'll never understand that about humans. How did you all get suckered into worshiping and idealizing those who rob the economic systems you use for survival for their own benefit, amusement, and satisfaction. How did you get suckered into idealizing them? You sit here, you hate the poor, but you idealize the ones who make everybody poor. What the fuck kind of bullshit is that? It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. It has got to be in the 90s in here. Dead serious. These older homes. It's like they had a vendetta against ventilation. They're like, yo, no air gets in. 2 molecules enter, 1 molecule leave. I'm joking. It was a bad something, I don't know. But yeah, man. I'm not your competition. And if I were, you wouldn't be fit to compete. When you come to me trying to compete, you are trying to aggress. It demonstrates that you hold a hostile outlook towards me. And not because of Donald King the man, but because of a thing performing through the man that does not stand for your shit. Any attempt you make to be subversive, it's coming out of you. Any attempt you make to try and trend others into being defiant and perpetuating and spreading your funky little attitude because you can't accept the fact that I'm not subject to you, it's coming out of your ass. It doesn't matter how big or small, any little thing you do to try to be aggressive or hostile or compete, it is considered a violation by the system of the highest order, and the consequences that come with that are they're without measure. Like, honestly, there are limits to what you can do to the flesh. There are no limits to what you can do to the spirit. None. And y'all are just happen to fuck around and piss off something that just does not stand for your funky little attitude. Get it together. Stop practicing competition. Stop idealizing competition. Learn how to be peaceful. Learn how to be cooperative. Learn how to prioritize honesty and reasoning over winning and trying to be right. You save yourself a lot of grief on the back end that way. Guys, you already know what it is. It's your man Donald King. Oh my God, it's so hot in here. Look at me, I'm glistening. I'm glistening, baby. Oh man, my voice is off tonight. Oh, man, I haven't been able to sing in weeks, man. It's months maybe. It's bad. But anyway, guys, you know I shoot these every Monday and Wednesday on Facebook Live. Also, I have an Instagram channel. I upload content to it every now and again. You can check out some of the stories that I post. I post on Instagram and Facebook. Anyway, you catch those every other day. But also, I fly all these podcasts over to my YouTube channel. And, man, I think I'm getting close to episode 90 now. It might be 90 after 88 or 90 after this podcast. No, 88 or 90 after the podcast coming up Wednesday. So I shoot these every Monday and Wednesday. Also, I post content to Medium. A lot of the same stories that you guys are going to see on my timeline. Again, I want to put out as much information as I can and give you as many parables as I can because I really want you to understand this stuff. It's not stuff that I'm making up. I just happen to be able to see it. Again, I just happen to be able to see it. Because I'm able to see it, I want you to at least understand and consider what I'm able to see, because I mean, like, so far it's proven way more consistent than convention. So yeah, you might want to get on that. Also, if you want to, assist me in building my way up to a larger platform, you can always join the Patreon family. I'm Avatar Cycle XIII. That's Avatar Cycle 13. And also, you can, if you just want to salt bay your boy with a little bit of love for tonight's sermon, you can hit me up on Cash App at Donna Kang. Proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform. Guys, this equipment that I'm using, it's limited, but it gets kind of old, man. My computer's been giving me a lot of problems lately. And it's getting older, and before too long, I'm gonna have to replace it. So, whatever you can do to help me help everyone, it works to your benefit. Okay, this is a way for you to sort of help reverse negative impacts you've made on reality and on the system of reality. And obviously, I would never take it upon myself to try and speak on at the behest of reality itself, but according to what I see through the perspective, what you do to try and help this entity I'm speaking through be heard helps lower your negative impact score in reality. So it's in your best interest to help where you can, even if it's just sharing the video on your wall or engaging in conversation and trying to gain some understanding, or like my good brother Absurd does, explaining, a lot of these principles from his own perspective and vantage point, so that, he's making it digestible for other people as well. Like if you understand the things, and, obviously you're not trying to take credit for the Avatar perspective, because that would be considered competing against it. But as long as you are out here really just trying to help people understand, you're lowering your negative debt score to reality, which is a good thing. And if you do it well enough and right enough, why, who knows, you might be in the black. You might actually make it into heaven. And dude, let me tell you this. When I was over in heaven, the bliss, oh my God. Like, you get mad when you go back in the flesh, because there's limits on the amount of bliss you can feel in your flesh suit, but what you feel in reality, would you feel in the other side of existence, even within the body of this universe? The bliss there, you would hate every drug, even though I've never tried all the drugs, but you would hate every drug. You would hate, even orgasms pale in comparison. This stuff is good. If you make it in, you should be trying to make it in. Try to make it into heaven. Jeez, it's just, and it's clean. You can't even get addicted to it. It's so good. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here. Stop sweating in your face, showing you all my prettiness. I'm not pretty. I feel like I look terrible these days, but it's all good. I appreciate you for tuning in. I thank you kindly. Again, guys, really, really work on sort of neutralizing your desire to compete against people. Everything isn't a fucking contest. I know the socialization process trains you to think that life is a game to be won. But that is not how it works in reality. Cooperation, mutualism, is more the basis of reality than competition is any day of the week. Y'all, it's your man. I'm out.